Everything that everybody loves about New Orleans is because of Black people.
You're going to get that fit. You're going to get your hair done. You're going to get your nails done. And you're going to be with your crew. And we're going to be out here in these streets freely being gay. It is the way New Orleans allows you to step out and be yourself.
Bringing history and tradition and culture together.
Right? I love that I see everything that's beautiful in New Orleans, from our food. You go to a second line.
This journey has been one hell of a roller coaster.
Audio Jungle.
I am the Divine Prince, Emmecca, Pan-African Spiritualist, Practitioner, Author, Advisor, Elagoon, Oloye, Hoodoo, AYIBOBO. I reside in this beautiful and legendary, historic Treme, New Orleans, Louisiana. So join me as I share food, music, culture, tradition, the rhythms and the flavor of New Orleans voodoo. Respect the voodoo. Greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Voodoo Hoodoo 101, if you will. Powered by, sponsored by, brought to you by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. We certainly appreciate your consistent support, love, and participation in this weeknight podcast, 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on a social media platform near you. Also by way of our STREAMYARD link and my personal YouTube channel. We offer you to become a part of something extraordinary. New Orleans International Voodoo Day is not just an event. It is a movement that celebrates culture, fosters education, and connects people from around the globe. By sponsoring this event, you are supporting a tax-deductible cause that preserves heritage, uplifts art and education, and fosters healing within the community and beyond. Your sponsorship goes beyond promoting your business. It demonstrates your commitment to cultural preservation and education while supporting a unique event that brings international recognition to New Orleans. Events like symposiums, art exhibitions, sacred processions, and rituals, global speakers offer an unparalleled opportunity to honor history and inspire a brighter future. Supporting an event like this means empowering a community, enriching cultural understanding, and making a meaningful impact on the world. It connects your brand to a celebration that values unity, diversity, and progress while helping preserve traditions for generations to come. Join us in creating a legacy, explore our sponsorship tiers, and help us make New Orleans International Voodoo Day an unforgettable, historic, and legendary celebration. Together, we can uplift a community and inspire the world. And this name change from New Orleans National Voodoo Day to New Orleans International Voodoo Day, as Elder Reggie so eloquently uh, introduced to us on yesterday evening. This change is more than a new name. It is a reflection of what's already unfolding. For years, we've been blessed to build in collaboration with delegates from Benin and Haiti and other parts of the world, and the global voodoo diaspora, voodoo worldwide, as I like to say. Their presence, wisdom, and ancestral ties have shaped this event in ways that words alone cannot capture. And it was only natural that the name rise to meet the spirit of the work. This shift expands our focus while keeping our heart in the same place, New Orleans. New Orleans, Louisiana, Congo Square, Treme, Faubourg Treme, where traditions converge, spirits speak, and the roots run deep. Thank you for walking this path with us. We are growing together. Please continue to visit us, learn more, continue to check back for updates by visiting our website at www.vodouday.org. www.voodooday.org. VODOUDAY.org. All is truly and indeed a blessing. And no matter what you do, by all means, respect the voodoo. I want to greet each and every one of you personally, individually, and collectively. Thank you so much, Daniel Neal, a member of our multifaceted community, coming on in. Thank you for representing us. Thank you, Nina Lloyd, again for being present. My first priest, my wild man, Joshua Nalantana. Oseyo to you and yours. Thank you for coming in as a co-host. Elder Reggie, our beloved Green Soap. We certainly appreciate your contributions and leadership in the NOIVD organization. We certainly are grateful for my sister wife and my best friend, the beloved Toni Val Martinez, and our voracious researcher. We certainly appreciate your joining us weeknights amidst your grandmama schedule. And so we certainly appreciate your contributions to the platform as well. Peace and blessings, beloved. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Hello, everybody. How everybody doing out there? Elder Reggie, Joshua, Nina Lloyd, all y'all. It's good to be here. It's good to be here.
Ashe.
Well, we had another incident. I don't know if
Hold
anybody.
on. Well, hold on. Forgive me. Let Elder Reggie come on in and let Joshua, and then we'll jump on in, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, boo.
Peace and blessings to everyone. Elder Divine, when we get a chance, there's a paragraph I would like to contribute tonight. You know, when as things progress and it comes available.
Well, you're certainly free to do that now, if you will.
Oh, okay, great. Okay.
Or after Joshua gives his.
All right, yeah, after Joshua. Okay, okay.
CEO, how you guys doing? Always a blessing. Glad to be here tonight, and looking forward to see what you guys got coming. I think, Elder Reggie, you can go ahead and share what you have to share. That's fine.
Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks, Sister Toni, for your patience. I know yesterday I brought up the importance of initiation, like in voodoo. Myself, I am not initiated into voodoo, which I would love to do it now, but I come by the way of the New Orleans Spiritual Church. And I would like just to read one paragraph on the New Orleans Spiritual Church, because I see it as a continuation of old style New Orleans voodoo. But just the paragraph. It says, among religions in New Orleans, the Black spiritual churches are unique in their rituals, beliefs, and organization. Although most residents of the city are now unfamiliar with them, these places of worship have appealed to large followings in the past and continue to be significant for a considerable number of people. Their attraction include highly aesthetic sanctuaries, emotional services of worship, and an eclectic belief system. While most spiritual people trace the origin of the religion to a woman named Leafy Anderson, who came to New Orleans from Chicago in the 1920s, the churches have linked to a number of older religious traditions. These include mainline Protestantism, folk Catholicism, and Pentecostal movement. By the 19th century, American spiritualism and voodoo or Vodou practice that survived the Black diaspora. As such, the spiritual religion resembles other New World faiths such as Candomblé, Santeria, and Chicago. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for sharing, Elder Reggie. That was pretty informative. That is a good explanation of the Black Spiritualist Church and the multifacets of the components that exist in it. It's it's like a gumbo. It's like a gumbo.
Yeah.
I see it also as a bit of a Sankofa.
Okay.
A bit of a going home, a going away to return, to go back, and again we can track, voodoo and hoodoo root work conjure, traveling up regionally the Mississippi Delta, the Mississippi River, into the Midwest, St. Louis, depositing itself in Chicago, Milwaukee, and certainly points alike. But then her coming back south, returning that energy back to sort of our Mecca, if you will, for voodoo, our center post for voodoo, helped to sort of again revive it and revitalize it beyond that season of Marie Laveau, if you will. Marie Laveau is credited by some, judged and criticized by others for introducing sort of not only white folk to our sacred practices and rituals, but also a certain commercial element to fortune telling, the selling of the rabbit's foot, and the hot foot and the love charms and the love spells that have, subsequently evolved into what we see today. I really would have appreciated hearing from Brother Cody Roberts at the symposium this year, and we should certainly schedule in specific time for him next year to speak on his publication, The Politics of Religion in New Orleans, 1881 to 1940, where he speaks of some of these aspects of Marie Laveau's footprint that I'm referencing now, and that some people find maybe controversial, if you will, to the survival of voodoo and how we sort of see it today. If you do a quick search, you might even be able to find that digital book available in Google Books online. And again, it's called Voodoo and Power. Voodoo and Power. Oh, what happened?
Yes.
I lost the top of my document. Hold on. It started scrolling on me. Voodoo and Power, : or ... the politics of religion in New Orleans, 1881 to 1940. And you can access it in Google Books for those of you with an active Google account. But we certainly would have appreciated having had him, actively on the schedule this year to speak. But we can certainly ensure that happens perhaps next year.
I say yes. Yeah.
Let me ask this question. Do y'all think in Marie Laveau's time that she was the only one practicing voodoo in all of New Orleans?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No way. No.
Yeah.
Sister Toni,
the documents suggest otherwise.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm willing to say she was an attractive woman. She drew more attention because of her attraction. but she was not the most powerful energy at that time. No.
Maybe she was the one that dealt with the most influential and rich people because of her main job as a hairdresser. Is why she's more widely known than others.
But I also agree with Elder Reggie, though I think Elder Reggie is trying to be more diplomatic, and is not trying to sort of interject, shadism into the equation. But shadism was the rule of the day. She was certainly lighter than a brown paper bag, as far as they would have us to believe. And so that, and her being a cosmetologist and a nurse and a midwife, and being actively involved in fighting the plague at that time. What was it? Yellow fever?
Yeah.
Was plaguing the
Yellow
city
fever,
at the
yeah.
time.
Yes.
And then not getting sick herself. In doing so, sort of supported two positions. One, God was with her, and there are those who purport that she was this strong, active Catholic, but it also supported the fact that there's mystery and secrets within the dynamics of voodoo that also could have been very beneficial to her. If I can share this quickly, Sampana, some of you know Sampana as Babalu Oye. Ricky Ricardo used to drum and say Babalu, Babalu. He was talking about Babalu Oye.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about in a Christian symbolism, Saint Lazarus. And so we're talking about disease, sickness, infirmities, and many mispronounce or misspeak that Babalu Oye's power is in disease and infirmities, but it's really the antidote to disease and infirmities. And I've read some documents in archaeology that suggests that there was a process in the initiation to Sampana, the sort of the original name for the West African deity that we're referring to, that involved early forms of vaccination before the Europeans understood vaccination. And so when you look at certain ritual ceremonies, even in Ifa today, for Obatala and for receiving a hand Ifa even, and you see the white spots symbolizing, again, the disease, the infirmities, it is suggested in archaeological records that our ancestors had this science and understanding of vaccinating against certain plagues, certain diseases that were incorporated into the spiritual practice, the mysteries and the secrets of the spiritual practice that really kept many generations of people alive. When we think about keloiding, my mother is a historic chronic keloid former. And I say historic in that she's in the archive at St. John's, not St. John, what's it called? John Hopkins Hospital in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, based on her particular case of keloiding. My mother is a spontaneous keloid former. And so we look at that as some sort of affliction here in the West. But science has now demonstrated that there's a mechanism in that has protected generations of people against malaria. So it wasn't just scarification, as some would call it, or a way of deterring the slave captures, as others have suggested for scarring and certain body modifications. It's been suggested that it was a means of preventing themselves from being captured and sold into slavery. But upon deeper examination, we're finding this connection to science, math, DNA, the cosmos, that Western science originally wanted us to think our people were too ignorant and uninformed to even know about, to now revealing that, we birthed science. We birthed math into the world. We birthed medicine into the world. The very system of internet that we're using right now is using that binary coded 256 math that we utilize in EFI divination. But how many of us are really aware of that?
Wow, that's deep.
Your memory banks in your devices are crystal, highly manufactured crystal, but quartz crystal none the same. Again, that's paganism, that's witchcraft, that's that new age stuff. Well, no, this is science. And our ancestors understood that all the way down to the DNA level. Because this information was passed on generation after generation through demonstration, through vocalizing and demonstration.
Ashe. Wow. Ashe. That's powerful.
Sister Toni, you said you had something to share.
Oh yeah, they had a big plane crash in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
And Murphy, and it was in a residential area that's called Murphy's Canyon. There's a military base close to that area, and there was military housing that the plane crashed into and set stuff on fire bad. Even the cars in the street burned. It had airplane fuel running down the streets, and the people's houses was catching on fire one by one. 6 people dead, the last count I heard on the last news. That was the last count. The guy was some big shot in the music industry, white guy with some bands that was kind of like grunge and that stuff on the fringes, them screaming white people and stuff. So I looked up that area to see what happened in that region.
Yeah.
And before it was San Diego, it was like Murphy. It was really kind of San Diego already, but they called it Murphy's Canyon, that particular area. And in let me see what it was. In 1769, the Spanish built a fort there, and the fort was known as Mission San Diego de Alcala.
I think I've heard
And
of that.
they kind of enslaved the indigenous people there. They were the Taipa warriors, Indians, Tipai Indians. And the Spanish, these was a lot. These Indians had a big tribe. They was really big. And the Spanish soldiers was raping the women and beating the men with metal tip whips and just putting them all through all kind of stuff. And in 1775, the indigenous people rose up against them. 800 warriors battled with them all night in the fort and burnt it down to the ground.
Oh, wow.
They
I've been
did
out in
end
that.
up,
I've lived up there in that area for a few
They
for a
did
year or
end up
so.
rebuilding it. So where I couldn't figure out the exact location, a map that old, but that
I'm about to
whole
say
little
that downtown.
area, and they
That's got to be
rebuilt it.
downtown or Old Town.
It's in a canyon.
Sounds like it would be Old Town. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at a map. I can't see a map right now, but I'll check it out, man. That's interesting, Tony. Man.
So they rebuilt it, and then they rebuilt it back into the fort. But this time they didn't mess around with the natives who had burnt them out a year before and killed them up. And in 1846, they sold it to the fort to a private owner, who in
Okay.
turn leased it to the U.S. military between 1846 and 1862. Now, it was sitting out there used as a training base, a military outlook, I guess, for the West, for that region. And Abraham Lincoln returned it to the Catholic Church in 1862. And then it still was converted to a Navy base out there. It still was military. I guess the military rented it from the Catholic Church, like the Catholic Church collect rent on so many other buildings and land areas here. But I thought it was interesting how the natives, 800 of them, 800 warriors went up against them and burnt them to the ground. And I said, oh, wow. And they just got burnt down again by the airplane.
That's it.
Yeah.
But I'm sad that people died and everything. But the way they say the airplane came in, it came in and knocked down a lot. It did a path. It didn't just fall out the sky. It came slowly and hovered over the ground and took out electric poles and utility poles and kind of like went in for the slide and slammed dead into this house. A house stopped it.
Wow.
A house stopped it, and people were in the house, but they got out the other side before the fires got big.
Was the plane a personal Cessna or was it a commercial airline?
It was a personal Cessna.
Okay.
They said they only had like 6 people on board, 6 or 7, 6 people on board, because that's the known people that they knew about that were killed in the plane crash. And I don't think they got around to seeing if anybody on the ground cleared. If you Google it, you can see those vicious flames and the people running around trying to collect their pets. And one man had a garden hose. He went to watering down his front yard, and he was filming, and he decided to give that up and evacuate the area because cars started blowing up. But they had people filming it, actually on the street filming it. You can find some of those videos. But I'm still looking for what's going on, what could have been opened. I'm checking out every big incident and researching where it happened at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like Old Town there. Like, and that would be that. I mean, I know there's a big Navy base out there. Huge Navy bases out there now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big Navy port.
Yeah, they say it's like the biggest Navy base they got.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, my uncle. I have a great uncle that was that's passed from us now. That was the first quote unquote, first African American force master chief that lived out there, and he was the master chief of the Kitty Hawk that's docked in that bay right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I heard of the Kitty Hawk.
Yes,
Well, our hearts go out to that community out there in
Me
terms of
too.
please
yeah,
be safe.
yes,
It seems like the world needs love everywhere now.
yeah,
So continue to, be there for one another, support one another, and
Yeah.
lend a hand where you can, please.
yes, yes.
Mhm. Well said, Josh. Yeah.
We need one big spell to get rid of Trump.
I say, man.
Mm.
One big one. like they used to do for a seance. 8 or 10 or 12 of us get around in a circle and do one.
I say, let's go.
Oh yeah, I'm about that life.
Man.
Yeah.
And somebody is actually selling a Trump voodoo doll complete with pins.
Really.
No.
I saw
Yeah, we
that.
we saw that during the first administration. So they brought it back, I guess, by popular demand.
Yes.
Just
What does it look
bring
like?
it
Does it
real.
look like Donald Trump?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
Just to make it full circle right quick with the New Orleans Spiritual Church and other spiritual church, especially the ones that practice spiritualism,
Yeah.
seance was actually a part of the service. Not all the time, but they would bring in spirit guides. That's one reason Black Hawk became so popular, especially in the New Orleans Spiritual Church. You would go into a semi-seance at church, and Black Hawk would make visitations. And you can tell when he made visitation because the people would be possessed, and some of the people would start, outwardly displaying what we call first people type energy. Yeah, it's just when you said the word seance, it just made it full circle for me. That's all.
And some people even said during those times in the spiritualist church, you can also hear his horse's hoof beats.
Yes.
Mm.
Wow. Wow.
Like he was riding up on his horse, and you could actually hear the hoof beats of the horse coming.
Yes.
Like his actual approach.
Yeah.
And that's how people knew when he was with them. And, besides the other signs they had when they like went in trances and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's deep. It's very, very deep.
Mm.
Are they
But I
still
guess,
any spiritualist church left in New Orleans?
unfortunately, no. They have one that was, but he done moved. He done morphed into something else. And I've been digging and running to and fro. Can't find any church right now. If they have any, they're private with it. But no, as of right now, no.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Well,
shocked that there isn't, man.
Well,
You
what
would think
happened?
it.
I was an active member up until Katrina, and after Katrina, none of the pastors and the people wanted to come back and rebuild. Those who did, they didn't want to be back in the church business. They done their private housing and just left it alone. That's what basically happened.
So it basically went in house, basically.
Yes. I was a member of Mother Caldwell Church in the Lower Ninth Ward on Captain Avenue,
Mm.
and it just faded away.
I mean, I could see what all that's happening and what's going on in terms of like the community, our community understanding spiritualism, the differences that we have, the approaches that we have. They may have went in just in house just to kind of protect their integrity, maybe, or maybe to maybe they need to do some in-house cleaning. or reorganization.
Or maybe just enough people that was members of the church didn't come back
There
to
you go.
invest the money
There you
to
go.
get the church started again.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they're still practicing in their house. I would think they would be.
Yeah, wherever
private.
they are, wherever
Yeah.
they're at, but they not back down. You still got to remember, it's nowhere near the people in the ninth ward
Oh yeah.
in numbers that it was before Katrina.
Not
And
at
they're
all.
not going back. So it was located in the lower ninth ward across the canal. And I'm
Right.
assuming a large majority of the members were close to the church or didn't
Right.
have to come far to get to church. So the church lost its congregation with Katrina. And I think it just didn't come back. But those people are somewhere. They didn't give up
Yeah.
their religion. They doing it somewhere. It's just not in the church form,
Right.
Yeah.
in the open church form.
Yeah.
But once
That's that
really-
old time religion.
Right. Old time.
Yes.
would you say,
Yeah.
Elder Reggie?
And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate allowing space tonight for that, because it was a staple for 70 to 80 years of the downtrodden. People didn't have much. Most of the ministers was female, and it was small congregation, house-based services. And when Katrina came, the people just didn't have the money to rebuild and to reestablish these churches, and it's kind of went away. But I still fight for it. I'm still a devotee, and hopefully we'll get at least one church back up and running.
I
Are you
support
still
that
in-
we make that, a personal project, and we just start to gather again, particularly on Sundays.
Yeah.
Even in relationship to Congo Square, even, and just recreate like that energy. That any real successful spiritual house really grows from the energy, not
Okay.
just from the people or the possessions or the wealth or lack thereof, of any particular community, but from the heartbeat and the spirit and love of that community. So that could certainly be something that we collectively, just in this space, decide that we want to begin to recreate, and just make that available again. I certainly appreciate Black Hawk and Black Hawk trance work and use trance work among other forms of spiritual possession in my own ministry. I would like
Okay,
to see
now.
that in a more communal environment.
Ashe. Yes.
Elder Reggie, are you still in contact with some of the members from the original church that you were in?
Yes, I am still in contact with a few of them. Yes, ma'am, as we speak. Yes.
And they in the city?
I know I got 2 or 3 of them are still in the city, but like myself, I don't live in the city. I'm one of the casualties of the Lower Ninth Ward, who was a faithful member of those church services. And after Katrina, I didn't come back. I've come back to the city, but I don't live there, and I don't support the Lower Ninth Ward like I should be doing.
But we definitely have an idea. All we have to do is act upon it. I'm sure we're a pretty tight community here. We could definitely figure a way of getting that going again. I think it's necessary to protect our communities here. That's so fragile and spiritual at the same time. And I think that is I agree with Ty.
Yeah. Like I read off earlier, it's eclectic. Voodoo, Hoodoo, Catholicism, Baptist, Pentecostal, they're all welcome, because it's like a smorgasbord of all of them coming together for the people in making things happen. It was a beautiful system.
And we certainly appreciate your time and commitment to the platform and invite you to join us here again tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Hoodoo, Voodoo 101, if you will. New Orleans International Voodoo Day. Continue to visit us at www.vodouday.org for more updates and coming information about this powerful, growing legacy and event. And keep in mind that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can see beyond the veils, and no matter what you do, respect the voodoo. Odabo.
Good night,
all.
everyone.
Double. Ashe.
Good night, everyone.
AYIBOBO.
Good night. Love.
Right.